With our Brussels correspondent Maeve McMahon about this major summit taking place there later today. A lot of business and economy issues, of course, going on throughout the day and tomorrow.
That's right, both on and off the agenda. Unofficially, I think budget talks will dominate the sidelines of the two-day event. Brussels was expected to warn 5 countries on their budgets, including the Eurozone's second and third largest economies, France and Italy. Now, as we've been hearing, the main focus will be on tackling climate change and how to address Ebola. The Commission and member states have already pledged nearly 600 million euros to fight the outbreak in 3 countries in West Africa. Meanwhile, numerous obstacles remain to developing a vaccine. Delano de Souza reports on the obstacles ahead for drug makers.
The world's leading drug makers have their attention fixed firmly on Ebola, with the deadly virus now claiming the lives of over 4,500 people, mainly in West Africa. The World Health Organization has identified 2 potential Ebola vaccines, one produced by the Canadian government, licensed by US-based Newlink Genetics, and the other by UK-based GlaxoSmithKline. Clinical trials are expected to begin by the start of November.
These trials will incorporate the largest number of volunteers and will be very important in terms of determining both the safety and the immunogenicity. And these data are absolutely crucial.
US pharmaceutical giant Johnson & Johnson has also committed $200 million for its Ebola program. And while the company expects to begin tests for safety and human response as early as January, analysts are skeptical if finding an Ebola vaccine will do more than grab headlines.
It can be very hard for companies to capitalize in profit terms. I think Glaxo's got a very clear plan to be one of the leading players in vaccines, and I think it's important then that with this virus they really demonstrate the leadership that they have in this product area.
The pharmaceutical industry says it's important to have many vaccines in development, as it's not certain which ones will work. They've also not ruled out pooling their resources together should a clear winner emerge.
Well, the markets will be closely watching what happens in Brussels, but today they've been reacting to news out of China that showed factory output fell to a 5-month low. That's pushed Asian shares to fall. China's benchmark Shanghai Composite fell to a 1-month low for the 3rd straight session, and Japan's Nikkei is down despite positive sentiment after manufacturing in Japan rose in October to the fastest pace in 7 months. All the indices there trading just in the red. Well, let's begin with a look at some of the day's other top business stories. According to reports, over the next 3 years, Lloyd's Banking Group is planning to cut some 9,000 jobs. That would amount to 1/10 of its entire workforce. This comes as more customers turn to online banking instead of going to physical branches. A reduction in locations is also expected. And U.S. safety regulators expanded a recall on vehicles that use TAKATA airbags to 7.8 million vehicles in the United States. Authorities listed 10 manufacturers that use the parts, including General Motors, Honda, and Toyota. The Japanese supplier TAKATA had earlier said older airbags may deploy with too much force and estimated there could be some 12 million vehicles worldwide that could be affected.
All right, let's stick with all things automobile. There seems to be a kind of taxi wars going on in a lot of cities around the world, doesn't there? A lot of it's to do with this Uber app, which is an alternative to many cities' taxis. But it's actually the Uber drivers who've been angry this time.
That's right. As you've been saying, Uber's been frustrating a lot of conventional taxi drivers, but now it's their own workers that are upset. They're protesting in front of Uber offices in 6 cities around the world, from San Francisco to London, and they were protesting over fare cuts, fee hikes, and the lack of a tip option. Uber, along with rivals Lyft and Sidecar, has seen a dramatic rise in popularity in their services. The company currently has a valuation of more than $18 billion, but its workers say Uber needs to share the wealth.
Uber has increased the amount of drivers on the road. They've decreased the rate that we get charged, or we get paid, and then they've increased their commission. Basically, we're making very, very little, and when you actually really do the math, we're making like less than minimum wage. So that's the reason why we're here.
All right, and one mode of transport that I personally would love to use, the hoverboard. Tell me it's a reality.
Well, there have been a lot of hoaxes recently, and these images have been all the roar on the internet. So anyway, it's a company in California called HENDO Hoverboards. And they say that the technology we saw in the movie Back to the Future is a reality and coming soon.
I got it. It's pretty cool.
Seem to be able to hear Greg Henderson, the man behind the hoverboards. What was he saying?
Hover roller coasters, hover luges are all on the way. So
I don't want a hover roller coaster. I just want to be Marty McFly.
Take it instead of the subway hoverboard. That's fine, but that's the most I will do.
Okay, well, let's see if it happens. Thanks very much. Will Hildebrandt there with a look through the business news for us today. All right, we're moving on from hoverboards to more sensible things in web news, including an online